Hello everybody. I hope you all and your loved ones are well. I am actually, thank you for asking. I was extremely glad to receive mail, individual mail from some of you to tell me where and how you are. It's a way to keep in touch and I appreciate, I like. This is an unfortunate emergency circumstance around the world and we are no more in close contact in class and we are all experiencing a new situation. So far so good, actually, for us at least. So what we are doing now is, this is the last presentation on Excel pivot tables. We do calculated fields and then we do charts. And then in a couple of days I will put up another presentation with the final. No, not exactly the final. With how to do the final. And this week and the next week we are going to rehearse at least twice the final. I will give you a test which will be more or less like the final and you will give it back to me and will correct. Then I will give you another test which will be more or less like what the final will be, and then you will give it back to me as an assignment, graded this time, and I will correct it again. And in the end you have the final. I will put up detailed instructions in writing on how to do the final. But the method will be, there will be one day, one frame of 24 hours, when you will be able, anytime you want, to download the final. And once downloaded it, you have 2.5 hours to upload it. That's it. That's a final test. I trust you are not going to cheat because the final will not exactly be the same for everybody. You will be assigned a random test that you might think it's exactly the same, say a friend of yours, another fellow buddy has received, but it is likely not to be. There are hidden characters that will allow me to understand whether the final was yours and not somebody else's. I strongly recommend do on your own. Whatever you're able to do, please do it on your own. I am sure anything you're going to do will be fine because I feel the level of the class, the knowledge, the skills that have been achieved. But don't give me the test that I saw was downloaded by somebody else, because that will be with no hope of fail. Don't do that, okay? There will be no way to recover it. If you cheat on a test, you can recover that. I can pardon you, we can discuss. If you cheat on the final, you fail. Don't you, please, don't. I am sure you can succeed. Let's move on now. So we start from the result of the assignment 4. The correct result was we have the genre, action, adventure, animation, then the sum of budget, which is how much money they spent to create the movie, to produce the old movies of the action genre. Sum of gross revenue, which is how much they sold, and then the sum of movie Facebook likes. Now let us learn how to add one column. It's called a calculated field. So first of all, we will delete the sum of movie Facebook like because we're going to talk about money. We don't care about Facebook anymore. And we will calculate a new field which will be called profit. Profit is the revenues minus the budget. How much I earn minus how much I spend. Those of you that are majoring in economics may very well understand this, but I believe anybody else could do. So next slide, I'm going to show you a screen recording of all this. So this is the correct result of assignment 4. honorable label, the genre, action, adventure, animation, then the sum of the gross revenue, the sum of the budget, and the sum of the movie Facebook likes. First of all, we want to get rid of movie Facebook likes. We just take movie Facebook likes and bring it back to the top, so there is no more. Then we want to add a new field, which is the budget, the revenue minus the budget, which we will call it profit. Now, in the pivot table analyze tab here, the field items and sets button allows us to create a calculated field, which is a new field, a field that we will call profit. And the creation of a new column, which will be localized here, is made by selecting the fields gross revenue and then minus and then budget and then OK. And you see here we have a column called sum of profit, because it is the sum of the profit of all movies of the action genre. And once we are here, we want to do more. These numbers are not easy to understand because they are, long, big numbers. We know those are dollars, money. So we format the pivot table now. Click on the field header and right click and go straight to number format. Currency, big values, so we don't need cents when we're talking about thousands of millions of dollars. And the symbol, it's going to be in my computer, the United States dollar. Same operation is here for the sum of budget, number format, currency, no decimal places, and the symbol is in United States dollars. Same operation for the sum of profit, right click, number format, currency, 0, United States dollars. Now it's interesting to see, once we are here, a first understanding of what's going on. What is the genre that is more profitable than others? We right click here and we sort largest to smallest, and we find out the adventure. And there are even genre which are very in the red. They don't do any money. Next, couple more operations on this pivot table. We add one more field, a filter. We then duplicate the pivot table that we have on the screen. So we select, copy and paste, and we end up with two independent pivot tables, both sharing the same source of data. They are both working with the same data, but we can have two different points of view, two different analyses of this same data. So we now have this data that shows that adventure genres is the most profitable and that crime movies are the worst performing. They are losing $2 billion in the whole history of world cinema. But is this the same for all countries, or individually each country has a different pattern? For analyzing this, we can add a filter here that says not all years, all data, all languages. Let us work only by country. Country into the filter here. And that's now the country filter all. What we want to do is we want to select only United States. Multiple genre, only United States. And this is what happens for the United States. we notice there is a change. It's no more action. Is comedy the most profitable genre for American movies? Let's go and check whether this happens also in other countries. The operation we have to do is always in the pivot table analyze tab. Select the entire pivot table. We don't do selecting with the mouse. That's a pivot table, it's not the data range. But then we can now right click, copy, position ourselves here, and right click, paste. Adjusting these columns, I have now another pivot table, independent. Notice that they share the same filtering, and that might be changed, but I can change the country here. Rather than United States, I can select, I don't know, for instance, Italy. Click. Now the Italian movie industry is not as big as the American one, though also the country has a good history. And we find out that, funny, the most profitable movies in Italian are the Western movies. And comedy, which you would think in Italian, in Italy it's the most important, the most appreciated genre of movie, it's a big loss. Whereas we notice that in the United States everything is in profit. In the end, apparently, according to the data of the IMDb database, which I must confess, after having seen these kind of tables, I kind of started to doubt, but for the moment we stay with that. So that's how we have two different pivot tables, all based on the same data. The data is this one, is always the same for all two pivot tables that we are here. The charts. I don't want to talk too much about charts because we have done charts in data range and in tables. Basically, you click inside any pivot table anywhere, and in the pivot table analyzed, you have a button called pivot charts. If you click it, an automatic chart is produced. With this option in the chart to change country. This chart, it's the chart of this pivot table, and clicking here, pivot table analyze, pivot chart, I have another chart of the second pivot table. Which is different because now country is Italy. And if I change this to Australia, I'm clicking Italy, also the pivot table changes. So this is a nice way of having different points of view, also graphically displayed for different filters of the same analysis of the same data source. So that's all for this year. This is the end of the teaching for our class. After this presentation, you will find an assignment due this Wednesday, and then this Wednesday you will find a rehearsal of the final test. an assignment which will include Excel and Word, due next Monday. Next Monday we will discuss the result, and I will give you another assignment which will be another dress rehearsal of the final. And next week again, I think the 5th of May, the day Napoleon died, you will have the final exam. Again, I hope you're all well. Again, I hope this emergency ends soon. Perhaps with some of you, we may meet in next fall. And let's finish this couple of weeks with flying colors, please.